What is good? My name is Christian and welcome back to another video. The other day I was scrolling through TikTok when I came across this video about this horrific movie from 1985 called The Peanut Butter Solution. And without a further ado, let's get into it. The movie opens with our main character Michael and his sister Susan making breakfast in the kitchen. We learn that their mom is out of town, so for some reason, Susan is pretending to be the mother figure while she's away, which is really weird because she's 11, and Michael is not into this. So she runs upstairs to tell their dad, and for some reason, he acts like he couldn't care any less about his kids.
The food, the money, the dishes. Dad, are you listening to me?
Yeah, I hear you, Suze. I am just too tired for all your squabbling today. I have been up all night.
Like, hey dude, this 11-year-old is raising your son. Care just a little bit. We are then introduced to Michael's best friend, Connie. Now, in my opinion, Connie is the best character in this movie. He's smart, he's got style, but he's also kind of on the brink of becoming a psychopath. Michael asks him if he heard about a house fire that happened the night before, and Connie says this.
Are you kidding? I was right in the middle of the action.
He then goes into exact detail about what happened at this fire, but for some reason, he's so excited that this house burnt down.
I was wriggling through the fireman's legs, the hoses spurting up all around me, the guys coming off suffocating from the smoke, coughing like this.
Like, chill dude, people died in that fire. Michael and Connie then head to school where we see them in an art class. And this is where we meet the worst character in this movie, the Senor. Now, the Senor is a renowned painter in this town. And for some reason, he has these 10-year-olds doing reference drawings of his dog, which is fine and completely normal, except he's being a complete ass about it.
That's a pig, is not a dog. Start again.
And he keeps touching the kids.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, Jennifer. Oh, fantastic.
This man should not be teaching here, or anywhere for that matter. He then goes over to Michael's drawing, yells at him for having imagination, and then rips it up in front of the entire class. He then tries to do the same thing to Connie, but he threatens the Senor, and then the Senor backs down and just continues on with class.
If you do that, Senor, I will never come to your class again, and I swear it.
Dude just casually threatened his teacher and received no punishment for it whatsoever, which honestly is pretty sick if you ask me. On their way home from school, Michael and Connie decide that they're gonna break into the house that burnt down the night before. Now, Connie isn't able to make it in, but Michael is, and when he gets in there, he sees something so terrifying that his hair stands up, he passes out, and then he just falls out of the second-story window. Connie then takes him home and explains to his dad and Susan what had happened. But I'm gonna go back for just a second. Because when Connie taps on the window to get Susan's attention, it looks like she's paying bills.
He's not home yet.
Their mom is in Australia, but that is absolutely no reason for the dad to neglect all of his responsibilities and pass them down to his 11-year-old daughter. She's doing his dishes, she's paying their bills, and she's raising Michael. This man needs to get it in gear. Get your shit together, dad. The next morning, Michael comes down for breakfast, and he's completely bald, which really isn't a big deal if you think about it. Like, is it shocking? Yeah. But from the way that everyone reacts, you would think that the man had cancer.
Where's your hair? What's wrong with my hair? You don't have any.
No, don't panic. Just sit down here and let me think this thing through.
But Dad,
Shut up, Suze.
Like, this man's crying on the couch. They take him to the doctor, and he's diagnosed with Hissam scarum.
He had a fright, you say?
That's right, he did.
It's that fright, for sure. The proper medical term is Hissam scarum.
Whatever scared Michael in that burnt down house scared him so bad that it caused all of his hair to fall off. Now, while they're at the doctor, Connie is at school, and while he's walking down the hallway, the Senor yanks him into his office and questions him about Michael's whereabouts. Now, in my opinion, You might not think this way, but to me, whoever hired this man made a huge mistake. And the principal thinks the exact same thing because the next day, he gets fired.
I found out that you've been thrown out of 2 schools, that you faked famous paintings, and that you've changed your name and appearance 4 times.
So apparently the senor has been faking his identity, and they just let him go. They just let him walk right out of there. The next morning, while Michael's laying on the couch, his dad and Susan try to forcibly put a wig on his head so that he can leave the house. He complains that the wig doesn't stay on, so they glue it to his head.
And?
Okay, show me. Look in the mirror. Looks great.
Does it? Does it look good? It doesn't look good. This wig gives Michael all of his confidence back, and at his soccer game, he's scoring goal after goal. But one might argue that the wig gave him a little too much confidence because he starts swinging on kids from the other team, and this one kid pulls his wig right off. So the kids do what any other kid would do, and they chase him all the way home. Later that night, Michael goes downstairs to call his mom and sees that there's people in his kitchen. Now, this is where the movie takes a dark turn because the people in his kitchen turn out to be the ghosts of the people who died in that house fire.
Yep, we got sizzled up the very next night in that fire. We felt so guilty about you.
You can't just come into our house, can you?
Oh, we can because we're ghosts. Ghosts can go anywhere.
The ghosts give Michael a recipe that will grow his hair back, but for some reason, they're so rude about it.
Come on, say it. 1 really ripe banana.
1 really ripe banana.
Put it on my head. You have to say put it on my head after each thing. You ain't very bright, are you?
How was he supposed to know what he's supposed to say? He didn't write the recipe. You did. As he's making the solution, his dad and Susan spy on him and then dump it down the toilet. The ghosts then return the next night, taunt Michael some more, and then give him the full recipe.
Ah, the boy who forgot my recipe.
Please tell it to me again. It really wasn't my fault.
That's life, sweetheart. You don't get no second chance.
You're gonna be bald forever, you freak! You shiny-headed fool! When they give him the recipe, they tell him not to put in too much peanut butter or else things could go terribly wrong. And of course, Michael does not listen and he tosses in too much peanut butter. And now this is going to be very important for later. That night, he puts the solution on his head, and by the next morning, his hair starts to grow back.
Dad! You've got little baby bristles.
But it starts to grow back extremely fast, and for some reason, no one is worried about this. As he's sitting in his math class, his hair continues to grow, which really just irritates his math teacher for some reason.
It's not moving. It's just too long.
It was short this morning, sir.
Nonsense. What kind of a dodo do you take me for?
Yeah, what do you take me for, an idiot? I have a math degree. There's no way I could be stupid. By the time he gets home for dinner, his hair is so long that he can't see. Now you might be thinking, why does his hair keep growing? And it's because he put too much peanut butter in his hair solution. If he had just listened to the ghosts, none of this would be happening right now. It gets so bad that Connie has to cut his hair during class. And this is where the math teacher just absolutely loses it.
Okay, down to Miss Broom, both of you.
Because it's so distracting, he sends them to the principal's office, and Michael gets kicked out of school.
The snipping is too distracting. I've had 3 teachers tell me today they'll resign if you go back in their classes.
It's a bit extreme. If you're gonna resign over a kid cutting another kid's hair in class, maybe you shouldn't be an elementary school teacher. Also, they sure did act a lot faster to kick Michael out of school than they did to fire that pervert, the senor. The next morning, Michael is so hellbent on going to school, but it's so windy outside that he has to take shelter under a house. And he gets kidnapped by the senor.
Che magnifici capelli.
Oh, God.
And this is where the movie takes another dark turn, because not only did the Senor kidnap Michael, but he also kidnapped 20 other children.
Not his fault. 20 other kids were missing from school.
20? I thought only 10.
No, 20, including Mylin, my baby sister.
And if at this point you still think the Senor is a good person, well, I'm sorry to say this, but the movie gets even darker because the Senor is using these children, these kids, to make paintbrushes out of Michael's hair. He has a sweatshop set up in a factory where they all stand around and make paintbrushes out of Michael's hair. This movie is categorized as a children's movie and a comedy. The man even has a robe made from Michael's hair. Please, for the love of God, lock him up. Connie and Susan visit an art supply store where they find one of the paintbrushes made from Michael's hair. They then come up with a plan to find Michael. Their plan is for Connie to get in the back of the Senor's van and leave a trail of sugar for Susan to follow. Brilliant, right? Wrong. A street sweeper sweeps up the sugar trail, and Connie gets caught by the Senor. Back at the sweatshop, the other kids tell Connie how they were kidnapped.
How do you get you all?
Through lies, through hypnosis, through ice creams that put you asleep.
That's right. The Senor drugged them. It also turns out that the paintbrushes are magic paintbrushes that let you go inside of your paintings. I wish I was making this up. But this happens. That night, Connie tries to get to Michael so that they can escape, but he's caught by the Senor. As punishment, the Senor puts Connie in a net and spins him so hard that he asks him to be his father.
I want you for my father.
This is another trick.
My real father died in a plane crash. And I want you for my father.
Now, anyone would see that this is a lie. Connie is lying. But the Senor is so stupid that he falls for it. Connie then gets the Senor to paint a picture of the burnt down house and tricks him into going up to the window. The Senor sees what scared Michael, passes out, and then falls out of the house. We then learn that the harem scarum was passed from Michael to the Senor, so Michael's hair has finally stopped growing. While the Senor is unconscious, they try to escape, but first, Michael decides that it would be a good idea to go back into that house to see what scared him the first time. And it turns out that what scared Michael were the ghosts that broke into his house. After leaving the house, the Senor wakes up and chases the children through the child labor camp. And this man is not letting up. He's catching kids left and right and just tossing them into cages. Outside, Susan is able to find the rest of the sugar trail and follows it back to the factory. She then goes to get the cops, and they finally arrest the Senor. Justice is served. Put this man in a maximum security prison. Solitary confinement for life, please. As they get home, their mom finally shows up, and they all lived happily ever after. And that's the movie. So what did we learn? We learned to not go into burnt down houses, because if you do, you might end up in a sweatshop. If you liked today's video, go ahead and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I make videos like this all the time. My name's Christian, and I'll see you guys next time.